The summer event is well underway, and as you've been collecting doubloons from quests, you may not have known that there's an entire event story told across those quests. Luckily for you, I've collected the entire thing right here. Ahoy, matey! When Castillo saw the malicious flash in the distance from his vantage point up the main topmast, he yelled, "The lighthouse, the lighthouse!" But the captain ignored him and continued to scold Murura for not having finished aligning the cannons. They could say that Murura was hopelessly lazy, but he was also the best at lining up cannons. No one else was as methodical and precise in lining them up, but it is true that he did it at a pace that irritated those with little patience. They were sailing straight into a colossus of water that threatened them with its roar. Any other captain would have taken the wheel with his own hands and turned everything to port, but Saravia liked to steer the galleon his own way. The one-armed Saravia had an eye patch and a wooden leg, but his crew joked behind his back that the patch was on his ears and that his brain was made of wood. Murura looked up and saw Castillo aiming his harpoon in the direction of the stern. "The lighthouse! The lighthouse!" he heard him shout, and ran to Saravia, grabbed him by the beard, and yelled in his face, "The lighthouse! The lighthouse!" Saravia filled his mouth with gunpowder and made it explode between his nickel teeth, as he did whenever he was in a bad mood, and spat sparks into the air so that no one would forget that he was the one giving the orders. They all grabbed what was within their reach, and as they were commending themselves on Stella Maris, they collided with the jaws of the beast, sending everyone flying and misaligning their cannons. With death whispering in their ears, some promised to find themselves in the afterlife to continue their journey, and others took the opportunity to throw a personal enemy into the sea. "Come get me, here I am," Castillo challenged, brandishing his harpoon into the storm. "I'm not afraid of you," he yelled one last time. And then an incandescent blast turned him into a human torch and snapped the mainmast to the keel. Saravia ran towards the hold, opened one of the royal treasure chests, and began to fill his pockets with silver coins, not knowing that the weight would only make his descent to the bottom of the sea faster. The beast swallowed the galleon, dragging the entire crew and the royal treasure that Saravia had to protect and take to Cadiz to the bottom of its bowels. After satisfying his appetite, the beast hid under the waves, and the sun came out. "Your face looks familiar. Have you been around before and heard about Captain Hayward? Did ye tell your yarn again, Mr. Squawkins?" "Avast ye, it's no yarn, I tell ye. Listen, this is a true tale. It is, Mr. Squawkins. Years ago, there was a rogue and daring pirate by the name of Kate Hayward. She was the most cunning and skillful pirate to ever sail the seven seas. One day, she and her crew came across a sunken galleon full to the brim with gold. Some say it was a terrible storm that did it, but Mr. Squawkins and I know it was the sheer weight of all that gold that sunk the ship. It took Captain Hayward and her crew 2 straight weeks to collect all the gold from the sunken wreck and haul it up onto her ship, the Narwhal. No, Mr. Squawkins, of course no one can hold their breath for that long. They carried the gold piece by piece. By the time the Narwhal finally set sail again, the crew were exhausted. Running dangerously low on supplies, they decided to sail to the nearby port of Dagger Bay and rest up. Captain Hayward and some of her crew spent that evening drinking in the local tavern. Unbeknownst to them, however, Dagger Bay was home to the most fearsome pirate in all the Caribbean, the dreaded pirate Bloodbeard. It didn't take long for the news of Captain Hayward's presence on the island to reach Bloodbeard, and what's more, the rumors about her newfound fortune. As the clock struck midnight, Bloodbeard and his crew burst into the tavern, and in response, silence filled the room. Bloodbeard's deep voice rang through the tavern. "Captain Kate Hayward, there's a toll to be collected. Your treasure or your life." This was an offer he made to every pirate he came across, and it was well known that whatever choice they made, Bloodbeard would always take both. Captain Hayward knew that she was surrounded and that she would not be able to run. She also knew that Bloodbeard had a soft spot for wagers, and so she challenged him to a game of cards. For each hand she wins, one of her crew members would get to go free. For each hand she loses, she would lose a crew member. Bloodbeard accepted this offer. Hand after hand, Kate won, allowing her crew to return safely to their ship until it was just her left there alone. Captain Hayward knew that Bloodbeard would never let her walk out of there, and so she purposely lost the final hand. Bloodbeard then asked once more, "So, Kate, Your treasure or your life." Captain Hayward agreed and rode out with Bloodbeard and his crew to the narwhal. When they arrived, Captain Hayward's crew was nowhere to be seen. "It seems your crew have abandoned ye, Kate," Bloodbeard chuckled. Captain Hayward explained that the treasure was down in the ship's hold, and so Bloodbeard sent some of his crew down to collect it. True to the rumors of Bloodbeard claiming both treasure and lives, he then instructed Captain Hayward to walk to the end of the ship's plank as he waited for his men to return with the treasure. "Any last words, Kate?" Bloodbeard asked. After a brief pause, she replied, "I like your ship better." Bloodbeard's crew came running back up onto the deck shouting, "It's a trap!" as she dived off the plank and into the water. Captain Hayward swam to a nearby cove where her crew was already waiting with the treasure aboard Bloodbeard's own ship, the Damnation. As they sailed away, they saw the narwhal explode in the distance. Kate knew that Bloodbeard would stop at nothing until he had found the treasure, and so she decided to sail to a remote island and bury it. They sailed for 6 days on the Damnation until they had found an island that was remote enough to keep the treasure hidden. After hiking for 2 days inland, they found a suitable spot. Captain Hayward created a map and buried the treasure there. They arrived back at the Damnation and set sail to return home. However, it didn't take long before Bloodbeard discovered and intercepted them on their journey. With his newer and faster ship, he fired upon and immobilized the Damnation with his cannons. He then sailed towards them, getting ready to board. Captain Hayward knew that they would have no chance of winning this battle, so she told her crew to lay down their swords as Bloodbeard and his men began to board the ship. In his mad fury, Bloodbeard tied Captain Hayward to the ship mast and made her watch as he forced each member of her crew to walk the plank. When it was only Captain Hayward remaining, Bloodbeard demanded that she reveal the location where she had hidden the treasure. Kate knew that Bloodbeard would force her to walk the plank either way, and so she refused. In a fit of anger, Bloodbeard threw her overboard. As Bloodbeard and his crew began to make their way back onto their new ship, they heard the sound of a child whimpering. It was a young girl hiding behind some barrels on the deck. Bloodbeard approached the girl and asked if she had seen what he did. The girl nodded. "Good," he said. "If you make it back home, tell everyone what you saw here today." The girl managed to reach a nearby deserted island, and after 16 years of solitude, was finally rescued by a passing ship. Some people say she went crazy and made the whole story up. But we know it's all true, don't we, Mr. Squawkins? I even have proof that the story is true. You see, I have in my possession Captain Hayward's map, revealing the location of her lost treasure. I want to go and find the treasure, but I don't yet have any means to get there. If you agree to help me, I'll split the treasure with ye. First, we're gonna need a ship. I'm not sure where you could find one, but I'm sure someone on the island could point ye in the right direction. Ahoy, matey! It has come to my attention that you're looking for a ship. Now, ordinarily, I would recommend you go and see One-Tooth Pete down by the docks. If you mention my name, he'll find you a seaworthy bargain. But I've also heard that you've been talking to Crazy Jane. Please don't fall for Jane's wild stories about evil pirates and buried treasure. She has a wild imagination, but that is all that it is, her imagination. Great, you got us a ship. Doesn't look like much, but I'm sure she'll do the job. Now, all we need is a crew that is willing to join us. You'd be better off doing the recruiting. People usually tend to try and avoid me. Don't listen to that mean old governor. He's just jealous of me and Mr. Squawkins. He doesn't want us to find our treasure. The sea voyage to this hidden treasure will probably take a couple weeks, so we'll need at least 5 crew members and a bunch of supplies before we depart. I'm not sure where we can find people willing to come with us. You're the first person who's actually listening to my story. You're looking for a crew now. I hope you've not fallen for Jane's childish nonsense. There's no real hidden treasure no matter how much she wishes it were true. She spent years out at sea by herself, so she made up stories imagining herself as a heroic pirate captain so that she could cope with being alone for so long. If you're serious about recruiting some crew members for an expedition, head down to the Salty Dog Tavern. There's always willing privateers in there itching to get back out to sea. Probably not best to mention to them that you've been speaking with Jane. She's well known around these parts for pestering folks into listening to her crazy stories. You managed to get a whole crew! The treasure will be ours in no time. I hope everyone else is as excited as I am. The ship is really coming together. We should be ready to sail any day now. Here's our secret. We use very special treasure compasses to find our way. The compass will guide us to the treasure. We'll find treasure compasses on our way. Don't forget to use them while sailing. The ship is really coming together. We should probably give her a name. What do you think, Mr. Squawkins? The Pretty Parrot. The Pretty Parrot? What a perfect name for her. We should be ready to set sail any day now. We just need to stock up on supplies for the journey. It's going to be a long trip and we don't want to run out of food. This should probably be enough. I brought some oranges too. Don't want to end up getting scurvy while we're out at sea. You're actually going through with it. You're not doing that girl any good by encouraging her. Although, I suppose if she sees for herself that the treasure isn't real, maybe she can finally put all of this nonsense to rest. Here's some extra supplies for your voyage. The sea can be a treacherous place if you're not prepared. I wish you good luck on your journey, and please be safe. You better get some extra supplies for your voyage. The sea can be a treacherous place if you're not prepared. I wish you good luck on your journey, and please be safe. Ready? Then let's sail to the open seas, off on our own journey for adventure and fortune. I'll show the governor that the treasure is real. I'll show all of them. People will tell our story one day. First day, embarking on our story to retrieve the lost treasure of Captain Hayward. The crew seems to be in high spirits. Let's hope this keeps up. One step closer to finding the lost treasure of Captain Hayward. Let's see what tomorrow brings. I still can't believe that we're actually going to find the treasure. I can't thank you enough for helping me find the ship and the crew. It seems fortune has really been on our side lately. There's a ship heading towards us, but I have no idea if it's hostile. Prepare the cannons and be ready to fire on my mark. Oh, the approaching ship turned out to just be traveling salesmen trying to sell us a ship. I have no idea why they're trying to sell ships to people in the middle of the ocean. Maybe they need to rethink their business strategy. Not much to report today. In fact, the sea seems quite calm. Perhaps a little too calm. I was right to be cautious. There's a storm on the horizon, and it looks to be a big one. We'd better get prepared. The storm is thrashing the Pretty Parrot all over the place. I'm not sure how much more she can take. Tell the crew to take shelter. We survived the storm, but a rogue wave tore the mast in two. We should repair it quickly, or else who knows how long we'll be stuck here. Our food stores seem to be going down very quickly. Some of the other crew members say that they think Jonesy, the chef, has been stashing food underneath his bed. Maybe you can look into it. Turns out that Jonesy wasn't stashing food under his bed. He was hiding his collection of teddy bears. We still need to figure out why the food keeps disappearing. The crew are starting to get quite agitated. Today, we found a rat in the food storage cupboard. It seems it has been helping itself to our food for the past week. I have no idea how it managed to get on board, though. I can see an island in the distance. If we followed the map correctly, that should be the one. We've arrived at the island. The crew can stay here and guard the ship whilst you and I row out to the shore. And after that, the story loops until the final quest, which reads, "Congratulations! You helped discover the lost treasure of Captain Hayward. Thank you for your help. I look forward to sailing with you again one day." I'll link my full spreadsheet of the questline in the description if you want to read it in its entirety for yourself. And if you want to discuss the video, I've linked my Discord server down there too. That's all for today, and as always, I'll see you next time.